Sometimes talking with friends feels like role-playing. Sometimes it feels like combat. Join us at the Round Table and Roll Initiative. This is Curmudgeons and Dragons.
Hello, welcome back to Curmudgeons and Dragons. I'm Jason Portizo. Today I am joined once again by Josie Diaz.
Well, hello there.
Maybe not. we use Zencaster to record, and like if we lag or anything like that, it records it nicely. However, that doesn't help the fact that she won't hear me for like 3 seconds.
And I'm just staring very blankly at my screen because you are sort of frozen. I'm like, any second now, it's my turn to talk.
Well, the live video has to go to space and bounce off a satellite. Well, you just like let it go to space. It's been through a lot, Josie.
Listen, it's got a job to do, and it should do it well.
Greg Genovis is here.
Hello. I have not been to space.
Nope, you're doing great. Jim Crocker's here.
Well, you're missing out.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
All right. At the end of the month, we are going to get back into DMAcademy on Reddit. People are looking for advice, and somehow we think we're qualified to give that advice. So, you guys ready to jump into a few of these?
Yeah, let's do it. I've probably commented on half of them already. So, yeah.
I pulled up one that I thought was really interesting, and I realized it was literally just your horror story from last week.
Yes. Yep.
I'm like, wow, this is like, this is touching.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there was we just did a horror story like this. I'd love to talk about it more. I realized it was literally just the exact same story. We got a few cool posts pulled up here, so hopefully we can get to all these without making the episode too long. So stop talking, Jason, and get into the first post.
Yeah, shut your whore mouth and get it on.
This is a post by user Hysop Alanth. Post is, campaign died. Should I tell my players my plans? So my campaign has fallen to the greatest enemy of all, planning problems. Oof. It doesn't look like we'll be continuing this campaign, and we either resort to other games, one-shots, or an adventure from a book. But I still have all these ideas about the campaign, and I want to tell my players about what they missed and what could have happened. On the other hand, if I keep these plans a secret, I'll maybe be able to recycle them in a future campaign after we've defeated the planning demons. What would you do in this case? Tell them or keep it secret?
That is the question for many a DM who has a consistent play group, but that campaign in particular has died due to scheduling.
I feel like that depends a lot on the attention span of your players. Like if your players are just like, yeah, that's super cool, there's a very good chance that you could tell them your plan. They like it, then they totally forget about it and don't realize that you're setting them up for the same shit in a different day.
There's a whole lot of DMAcademy stuff I come across where my first initial answer is, don't ask us, ask them. Ask the players. Do they want to know? Like, are they super excited to find out what could have happened, or do they want to hold on to it? Like, that's the first place that I would start is saying to them, how do you guys want to do this? And then
I
go
would
from
actually
there.
say that's the second place, because I think this question is more about like, would you even want to tell your players?
Got it. Okay. I see what you. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
so
fair.
So once he's decided whether or not he wants to, then you go to the players and see if they want to know. And sometimes some of them won't. They think the campaign was what it was, and if their character wouldn't know, why should they know? And on the other hand, if the campaign is actually really truly over, that might eat at them for a while, and sometimes you just got to know.
You should also keep in mind how good they are at keeping their in-character and out-of-character knowledge separate. If you're playing with a group of people that you can know what is going to happen and not necessarily allow it to affect too much their gameplay.
Well, this has to be with the assumption that the campaign is dead, like never coming back dead. If the campaign is truly over, then you can go ahead and drop spoilers.
I think what Josie was talking about was in the situation where it is a consistent play group and you're trying to set this up again in the new campaign. Will your players be like, oh, I remember you told me this is what's going on?
Sure. Well, don't drop those secrets.
Yeah.
But if they're really just going to resolve themselves to just one-shots and book campaigns, that seems like a non-issue.
Yeah.
I would say, like, if it's big story stuff that you might recycle later, keep that to yourself. If it is character-specific stuff that you had in mind for them, and if you ever do start another homebrew campaign that they're just going to roll up new characters, I would then give them the choice of whether or not they want to hear it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, where it's like, I mean, there's a big difference between, should I tell them what I had planned in terms of like, oh, and we agreed that I was going to, figure out what happened to your father who went missing. And here's how that was going to play out, versus I had the coolest idea for this fight in a volcano.
Yes.
Right. Because like you can use the fight in a volcano again without talking about how you're going to use lair actions to do lava fountains and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the mechanics that I made for this airship battle. Here it is in technical detail. And then 2 years later, it's like, okay, you're riding airships. Like, oh, I got this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is coming from user Airsalt. I homebrewed a useless magic item, useless in quotes, and my players are really excited. So I wanted to give my players some early rewards for treating a trio of harmless goblins well. I had the gobos offer them very vaguely some magic boots. I based them loosely off of boots of striding and springing. The boots can be clicked together up to 3 times. For each click, roll 1d4 and multiply the result by 10 feet. The result is how high or far the boots launch the wearer, perpendicular to whatever surface they are on. Fall damage still applies. This is what I think makes them useless. So if you roll your 4, or you click them all 3 times, you roll 3d4, you jump 120 feet in the air, you take 12d6.
Incredible.
Right?
Maybe that gets you to the top of the tower, though. Like, I love that.
Sure. So as soon as they spent enough time to learn exactly how the boots work, the party immediately started to dream up ridiculous uses for them, which, as an aside, how did he see them doing anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, like this is...
How did you think this was going to go?
This sounds like the intended outcome of a quote-unquote useless magic item, because that's 100% what I would expect my players to do.
It says they wanted to turn the Hexblade Warlock into a half-elf cannon by using the Cleric's shield as a surface to aim him off of, because it's just perpendicular off the surface. Have I broke the game, or will these just kill my PCs? Also, if they
those
do
are not mutually
launch,
exclusive questions.
also, if they do want to launch themselves laterally, how should I handle that?
I mean, so we have a category error here where they're using the word useless when what they mean is gonzo or weird or,
bananas.
Yeah,
this is not
exactly.
useless.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah,
I can think of 30 disruptive things right off the bat to do with these fucking shoes.
Like, when it says falling damage applies, does that mean you take falling damage every time you just automatically take falling damage every time you use them? Or if you get into a situation where you would take falling damage, it doesn't protect you from the falling damage?
Correct.
I'm assuming that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you use these springs to launch yourselves 40 feet in the air, when you fall back down, the springs are not going to take the shock.
Sure, but if I use them to launch me up to a 40-foot ledge, then I'm fine, right?
Yeah, that seems like the obvious one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hardly useless.
That
does not in any way make them useless.
No, not in the slightest bit. But they're trying to go bonkers with this, which is that's your fault for giving your players literally anything, because they're just going to take it bonkers.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and so
it's pretty exploitable.
It's going to work the way that you say it does because it's a homebrew magic item. And this is another DM Academy thing where it's like, I gave them a completely made up homebrew magic item. What are the rules for it? Like, the rules are whatever you say they are.
Right.
Exactly. Because it's a homebrew magic item.
We have the catapult spell. Use that as your baseline. And
that's smart. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
And my 400-pound Leonin barbarian is wearing these and is going to launch himself. Maybe add a couple dice to that.
I'm so glad that you mentioned Leonin for that, because since you started talking, all I could think about is the like photo set about, oh yeah, lions can jump 36 feet, and somebody clarifies they can leap 36 feet. They are not jumping 40 feet in the fucking air. We never would have made it out of Africa.
I mean, like, it works off a shield if you want it to work off a shield, and it doesn't work off a shield if you don't want it to work off a shield. You can just say it's got to be an actual surface or a wall or something like that, or it can't be a carried item or something like that. There's easy ways to figure out, what your limits are.
Also, athletic checks. Like,
Yeah.
I've had plenty of situations where it's just like, Goliath wants to throw the gnome. Give me an athletics check.
Yep.
Yeah, or if you're gonna like launch the rogue horizontally, then maybe they make an
That's at
acrobatics
least a
check
dex,
to
yeah.
tumble on the landing so they don't take any damage. or
Turn that
something like
motherfucker into a projectile.
And there
So
you
there's
go.
some cool stuff.
Projectile sneak attack.
There's some cool stuff in the comments here regarding the shield catapult idea. Someone says, for every action, there's a reaction. What happens to the shielded character?
They make
To
a
which
that's
someone
a
else,
good question.
to which someone else replies, the cleric just gets yeeted backwards a similar distance. Harmlessly, since they never leave the ground, but it means that when the warlock lands, the cleric isn't able to sprint over to heal them before the death saves are done being made. Someone's saying split the roll, so if it's 70 feet, they both fly 35. I think they should just both fly 70.
Yeah.
Someone else says that these are not rocket boots. You go up no matter what. There's a couple ways to fix what might be broken. Not that these are completely, game breaking bad, but like they are very exploitable.
No, they're
As-
just
as is right
wacky.
now.
It has the same issue that any other movement affecting magic item has. That your wings of flying or your, whatever, like cloak of teleportation. It's, you just got to take it into account when you're doing dungeon design and be prepared that if they've got this, there's going to be ways around situations where otherwise gravity might be a problem for them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, the age-old question, what happens when your hypersonic tabaxi runs into something during its round of movement?
Or to someone.
Yeah, or into someone.
They did that on the boys.
Sounds like the DM's going to have to do some physics problems to figure out how fucked up the person they hit would be.
Yeah, just round everything to the nearest 5, though, so you don't have to do actual physics.
Yeah.
Listen to last week's episode and realize why I'm mad about that. Next post. This is from user Collection Massive 250. And this one comes up a lot, and we can do a whole episode on this, so we're just going to do the quick version today, guys. My character doesn't want to do the quest. Have a large group and just started the campaign. Party has a day to kill before they can set off on what will be the start of the campaign's main plot, and I've written a side story mission. A known NPC bursts into a tavern in the twilight hours and begs for help. Everyone else is up for it. Let's go. Or not. Side note, this post is clearly written by a DM because there's some great literary things thrown in here. A known NPC bursts into the tavern in the twilight hours. Good for you, DM. I'll play at his table.
Somebody be writing their own campaigns.
Yup. Player in question, a fairly strong-willed new player as a chaotic good character, says to the effect of, my character thinks this NPC is just being a controlling father. The quest was to rescue the teenage child in serious danger that has run away. And he wouldn't want to do it. In character, I laid on thick that this teenager is in danger and needs help, and the other players, especially the good aligned ones, chime in that either way, the teenager is in danger and needs help. The player is still reluctant and says their character just wouldn't want to help. As the DM, I state that this is fine, but this is the adventure for tonight and everyone else is going. So gently but firmly suggest some ways the character could get on board with the idea. Or if they really don't want to, they can just sit this one out. They agree, perhaps a little reluctantly, and that was the end of it. My question is, was it wrong or railroading to take away the choice of the player in the name of keeping the group going in the right direction or together? I'm not generally a controlling DM, and I'll allow most shenanigans, but I only have enough time to write one quest fully at this point, and the other players wanted to check it out. Happy to improv and pivot the plot where necessary, but I honestly didn't expect someone to say no. Is this a common scenario?
If you don't want to be a team player, go play fucking Skyrim.
Yeah. To answer
Like-
the question, I don't think that was railroady at all. there, especially if he gave him like options, like you could go at it at this angle, and who knows, like that player could have discovered that yes, this is actually a very controlling father NPC, and now the new side quest to the side quest is to find a better home for this child who is no longer in danger. Like
you sat down here to play a game with your friends and you're like, I don't actually want to do that quest that you spent all of this time putting together. I want to go do something else. Fuck the rest of you. It's like, okay, go play your single player game then.
Yeah, you could definitely do it. You go along on the quest just to prove that he's a controlling father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really simple ways you can get around this. So I'm flipping through the player's handbook here. I want to say that it's in there somewhere, but somewhere in one of the books on my shelf, I will find it. Not now, but I will find it. It spells out that your character needs to want to adventure and needs to want to work well with others. You can have, character and story reasons why some of those things may be slightly less than true, but in order to move a story forward, you really have to want to do more than not participate.
Yeah, realistically, a campaign is the story of all of these adventurers coming together to do a thing. And if you're just going to elect to not do the thing, a petty DM would just kill you.
At least without like major story reasons why you're not participating.
Yeah.
Enforcing the premise of the game is not railroading. That's just,
just playing the goddamn game.
Exactly.
Next post. This is from Major Silver 7935. I'm thinking about running an evil campaign. What can I use as my big good end guy, my BGEG? As the title says, I'm considering doing a campaign where the players would run evil characters, mostly because I want to give my little murder hobo some fun. Thinking about this, I got to a problem. What would be the final boss? Trying to destroy the whole kingdom or just kill the kings and nobles seems funny, but not that hard with enough time and creativity. So I want someone that is both strong and good aligned. My main idea is a silver or gold dragon. If you have other ideas for a BGEG, I'm all ears.
I mean, aspect of Bahamut is always fun.
I think my off mic suggestion was to make it Jesus Christ, but
that's what I just said.
No.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah, but Jesus is a lich and you have to go destroy his phylacteries and it's just a whole thing.
That's the big bad good guy.
Some suggestions here in the comments are a different evil guy who has just dramatically different views. So it ends up kind of being the same thing as a party where just being evil doesn't mean like you are the most evil one.
A different kind of evil even.
I think the easy one is to have like a good aligned like paladin type of character with like an army that sees you as the BBEG and or a rival adventuring party who's good aligned, who's been tracking you this whole time, and you are the big bad in their campaign.
One of my players is working on the entire premise is PvP, but the plan is mono party of warlocks whose end goal after 3 sessions is to summon Asmodeus or whoever, and that is one half of the players. The other half are either paladins or clerics who are trying to stop them. So the first 2 sessions are going to be gathering followers and like building a lair. And the last session is going to be where they meet up and try and stop each other, essentially. So that's also a direction you can take that in. That's more of a short form campaign, like 3 or 4 sessions max.
This is also one of those, like, what level are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, who has been the enemies in the campaign so far? What logically leads to,
of course, but
leads to whoever the final villain is. But metallic dragons, sure,
yeah,
they're great adversaries. That's totally fine. You shouldn't need to nerf them. They have them at enough different levels that wherever the party's at, you should be able to come up with something that you can make a good fight out of it.
Yeah, it could just be the age of the dragon too. If it's a quick campaign, it's just getting your murder hobo out of your system, and you only go to like level 8-ish. Maybe it's a baby dragon. If you want to take it to 20, maybe it's an adult. My favorite thing in the comments here, this is from user, I wasn't going to read the name. I'm like, no, I should shout out the name. And then I read it. So this is from user Erotic Toaster.
Yes.
Amazing.
I don't know you, but I love you.
The suggestion is a group of 5 teens with attitude.
That's perfect.
That's how you get the Power Rangers involved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Incredible.
Next post. I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about this. This could even be its own episode. Is it okay to run a homebrew world for your first campaign?
No, not allowed. Next question.
Why
Modules
not?
only.
Let them live their life.
So I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but my first campaign I ran was completely homebrew. None of us had access to a player's handbook, and I accidentally reinvented Thaco.
Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Corruption
I
Dragons.
disastrously.
Yeah. Yeah,
did
so-
a bad thing.
I did a horrible, terrible thing, but like we had enough fun where we kept playing. Eventually, we did get our hands on a copy of the player's handbook and the DMG. So, like, yeah, if you want to do completely ground up homebrew and call it D&D, that's what I did.
This is also the time where I think it's important to remember that you can run a homebrew game that's 80% stuff you steal from modules and just, drop in different order and like, I need a goblin fight. And so you grab a module that has goblins in it and you drop that into your game and stuff like that. Homebrew
just
doesn't
reskin it.
have to. Yeah, exactly. Homebrew doesn't have to mean like everything totally from scratch without a net. You're completely on your own.
People that's not their first campaign that they're running as a homebrew do that. There's the
Mhm.
underlying structure, like the framework is the same almost across the board for every campaign type. It's just a matter of what monsters you put in, what color the buildings are, what the name of the queen that you're going to piss off is. Don't shake your head at me, Gregory.
Ooh, you're making me mad. You're making me mad.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to laugh like that.
I think the most important thing is whether you're homebrewing or using a book campaign or downloading a one-shot off a drive-thru like I did for my first campaign, is your first game going to be fun?
Mhm.
And is it going to bring the players back for your next one? I think that's what really matters, right?
Agree.
sure.
So ask yourself that. We have time for one more quick one. This might not be a quick answer. Do you warn your players if they're about to make a massive mistake?
I mean, yes. I think go ahead. Sorry. We know my answer.
Like, again, I think we covered this recently on Horror Story, but like, I don't think there are more powerful words a DM can say than, "Are you sure?"
You sure about that?
Like, you can certainly try. I have it on a shirt for a reason. Like, it is.
You have it on 2 shirts.
I have 2 shirts, so that's
In case one's dirty.
exactly.
So I think this is where we need to make the distinction between, do you warn the players if they're doing something extremely unwise? And do you warn the players if they haven't properly understood what's happening?
Mm.
Because those are 2 very different things.
Sure.
So like if they are proceeding to do something because they think that like the dragon is across town, burning down the church, but actually the dragon is right here. And you did tell them that, but they didn't catch it or they don't understand it. That's a different thing than just, well, we know the dragon's there and it'll probably fry us, but we want to do it anyway.
Yeah, I think even as like in your DM voice is like, do you mean go to this town? Because that's where
Yes,
the thing actually is.
Sure. Yeah.
We had that last night because I had an important NPC whose notes I had in between 2 others, and I kept mixing up who we knew that
Sure.
person through.
That happens.
So we bothered the armorer like 4 times asking about this person that they don't know.
Amazing.
Yeah, like I have trouble with names. So sometimes I will
Yeah.
conflate characters and stuff like that. And if I say so-and-so told you this, and they're acting on that information, and then I suddenly realize, oh no, crap, that's something different, then that's a different thing. And absolutely, I feel like you're not only should you, but like you're obliged.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Correcting your own mistake, absolutely.
Yeah, to correct them. But once you've said, you understand this is unwise, right? And they say, oh yeah, then proceed
listen.
from there.
Yes,
So,
I think throwing a rock at this sleeping dragon may not
What
yield
could
the
go
results
wrong?
that you're
Or-
hoping
They'll
for.
probably think
Or,
it was
you
a
know,
tickle.
saying they want to spit in the face of the queen of fantasy Sparta. Either way.
And
I
then
had
after you get out of the dungeon, ask if you can join her guard and then fuck off and make a new character. Yeah, I'm aware.
But yeah, this also
I-
spins out of the conversation we had the other day about the difference between something being unwise and something being like, no kidding, instant death.
Mm-hmm.
Like the campaign is done if you do this.
Yeah. That was the
like
horror
that
story
thing-
about the
Psychic
which
scream
artist
and
was that?
melting brains.
Yeah, that
the
was
the Archmage. Yeah, yeah. The metagame.
I'm still salty
DM.
about that one.
Mhm.
The
that was only
metagamer got out metagamed.
That was earlier this month. It's not too far back. Go back and check out that episode.
I think that was actually. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I was going to say. I think it was last week, but we're recording.
was
now.
for us.
Time isn't real. I can't.
Time doesn't matter when you record out of order. Yeah, I think if your party's like just asking to walk into certain death, be like, hey, you're probably going to be walking into certain death. Like, I think you can let them know that kind of stuff. If it's just going to be like, hey, I don't think this is going to work, let them figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think stopping them should be reserved for like total catastrophe.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
or like I
campaign
said,
ending bullshit.
Yeah.
yeah, or like I said, if they're like operating with like incorrect information, if they've no kidding misunderstood what's going on, then you stop them and clarify. And then if they keep going, well,
You clarified.
That's their problem.
yeah, yep,
Yeah. Well, the difference there is that if the players are going off of bad notes, then that's the players having information that characters would have that information. So you're
absolutely.
you're sorting out what the characters do know and reminding the players what the characters do know. That's a reverse metagame.
Yep.
You're allowed to retcon a little bit too.
Yeah.
If you're like,
talking
"Ooh, my
about
bad, I
reverse
told you the wrong
metagaming.
person."
That's all the stories that I pulled out for today. That is exactly how long I wanted this episode to be. So good
Sweet.
job, everybody. Good job. All right.
Yeah.
I did it!
Yay! We do these every month. If you have a cool story that you found on either DMAcademy or advice seeking elsewhere, if you want advice for your own campaign, you can find us at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. There's a contact form and a voicemail box. You can leave us your questions there. Otherwise, you can go follow us at all different kinds of places. Each of us has things that we prefer and don't prefer to use. Some of us are Twitter people. Some of us are Instagrammers. And some of us are Greg. So
What a
go find
great answer.
at Jim's Lakes Games is Jim. At Goblin Scratches is Josie. I'm at Jason Portizo, and Greg is also on the podcast. We will see you guys next time, guys. Everybody, thank you for joining me. See you next time.
Anytime.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Curmudgeons and Dragons. Please share this with your favorite adventurers. Leave a review on Apple and follow us on social media. All links can be found at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Practice safe adventuring, my friends.
This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.